What's up guys, Donnie here. Today I'll be doing an in-depth install of Hansshow Auto's 8.8-inch touchscreen display instrument cluster for Model Y and Model 3 on our 2021 Model Y. I'll be talking about the various challenges I faced while installing this fairly involved install, which requires few tools but some familiarity with the vehicle. Before we get into that, here's a quick introduction into the product. Quick reminder that you can use my special code DONNY, D-O-N-N-Y, at the Hansshow store to get 23% off your whole purchase. That will help me and the channel grow as well. Once installed, the main dash of the instrument cluster shows a sleek view of the basics you'd expect. The gears are to the right of the screen with the battery charge, your current speed, estimated range, temperature, and time, as well as alerts like your seatbelt status. Swiping up and down on the left changes volume, and the same on the right changes brightness depending on your settings. You can use the scroll wheel to switch views from the cluster, Carplay, and the front camera. Settings allows you to change everything from measurement units and controls to display types and so forth. A big feature of the instrument cluster is being able to use Carplay and all the features that come with it. While I've never used Carplay before, it seems to be fully featured, allowing you to call and message by voice via the Maps app from your phone, listen to podcasts and audiobooks, and so forth. Using the instrument cluster with the FSD enabled is a great experience, but keep in mind you can't use the scroll wheel to change views as it's used to control FSD. A surprise feature we've noticed is a blind spot notification, which lights up to the left or right side of the instrument cluster to tell you if there's a vehicle there, even when you're not signaling a turn or merge. Now for the install. The instructions state to take off the plates on the left first, but you'll notice here that mine is actually underneath the top console. So what I had to do first was pop this off so that it wouldn't be holding the side in place. You're going to use the included tool to pop off the top, and then the same tool to pop the side off. If it doesn't come off right away, you may have to take off the pillar just to the side of it. Once you're done with that, you're going to have to do the same on the right side before you can pop off the top of the console completely. You may have to take off any accessories here to make sure that you can take the top off completely. You may want to take a moment to study the bottom of the panel so you can see where all of the joints are connected to the car. After you take off the front console, you're going to have to take off the side pillars on the right of the vehicle. You can see here that you pop off the top and then pull it up. The second portion of the right pillar has a button push that you pull out halfway before you're able to completely take off the pillar. And then the rest of it just snaps off with a little bit of force. Here I show you exactly how to take off the top. You have to first pull off the small portion before you're able to pull the whole thing out. For my Model Y, we had the AMD chip instead of the Atom chip, so we used the appropriate cords included to connect it to. To access the panel where we connect it, we have to pull back the felt lining, which is also connected by another one of those buttons, which unfortunately I couldn't get on screen here. But once you do that, it just pulls right out. Here's a closer view of what we're looking at here for all the cords that we're using. The blue piece here is what we're going to connect it to. There are two locations we use the included cords to connect to. This first portion is where we feed power into the instrument cluster. And the second portion, which is the blue part, is how we connect to the computer and get that information that the instrument cluster needs. Once all of the plugs have been connected, you're going to run the cord up to the top of the console and along the path of where you want it to lay down. I used electrical tape to secure it onto the top dash along a path where it will not obstruct the panel that goes above it. Use as much tape as you need to make sure that the wire is secure. there is going to be another wire that you place through the same exact area for the camera if you decide to install that. This part I try to show the top of the console and where the instrument cluster actually connects onto the top of the console. Unfortunately, my camera was a little bit off, so I totally missed it. So what I'm doing here is trying to center it exactly where in front of the wheel here, using the divots, the cutout here to show exactly where you want it centered. You're going to use there are 3 wires, blue, yellow, and red wire, which you're going to thread through the middle of this area to get it as close to center as you can. At which point you stick the rest of it through those same holes. On the other side of which you're going to use the included metal plate and screws to attach the instrument cluster. Unfortunately, I didn't get it on video, but it is pretty easy. You should be able to do with just the paper instructions that are included. This next part is installing the camera, which is completely optional. You're gonna have to open the frunk and take off the top panel, which just pops off, as well as the actual frunk, which we will have to use a ratcheting tool to take off. This is unfortunately not included, but it is a pretty common tool, so hopefully you already have one. There are 2 to unscrew on the top and 2 more to unscrew inside the bucket of the frunk. There's also another button thing on the right side, which you would have to take off. Make sure not to lose it. After this, the whole frunk pops off, but you will have to take off the plate which has the emergency open for the frunk. This one pops off easily, and then you can thread it through the hole and leave it inside while you're working on it. Optionally, you can also take off the plate completely, which you would be able to connect back on using this connector. Now for the actual camera itself, you're going to want to go to the front of the car and thread the cord into it using this area here. This piece is rubber and is flexible enough. The difficult part of this is getting the wire to go through up that section, because it is a very difficult bend, and you may need to have some thin fingers to get it in there, or some special tools, or preferably a second person to help you out. Now once you get that through, you're going to want to thread it through the area to the left here underneath, and then follow the path along the outside of this front area. This is the secondary wire that connects to it, which you're going to connect and then thread as well through these areas here on the left of the vehicle. Now here where we deviate from the instructions want you to cut open a hole through a rubberized gasket that goes directly into the front console. But here we instead use a cavity on the frame of the vehicle to the left, which we can thread just underneath where the door and the frame sit. Excuse the messy exterior, I do need to wash the car. You can see here I basically used a barbecue stick to thread. You can see here I basically used a barbecue stick to pull pull the cord through a very thin cavity here. You can use any long stick you want to make it easier. Once you have all the wires threaded through and to the top, you can actually, at this point, you can connect all of the wires together and test out the unit if you'd like. You can also have done that before putting on the dash. So you connect yellow to yellow, red to red, and blue to blue. After everything is connected and everything is powered up and looks like it's good, you're gonna wanna tape up the pieces together so they don't come apart by themselves using the same electrical tape, and then secure them underneath the console in such a way that they do not pinch. Take your time and use as much tape as you need. Securing the top of the console was pretty difficult for me. I'm not sure if it was just the fit and finish of my vehicle, which was an early version of the Model Y, but it was fairly difficult getting all the proper pieces into the slots that they were supposed to be in, and needed a lot more force than I was comfortable doing, so this took me a long time. I have a feeling that newer versions of the vehicle have much better fit and finish and would not require as much force as I used to put it back on. Nevertheless, I did get it done. Just don't be afraid to use a little bit more force, but try to gauge yourself and make sure you're not just banging the piece into a slot that doesn't belong where it does belong. It doesn't go where it doesn't belong. After that, I cleaned the area where the camera goes and used the temporary adhesive. It's actually a permanent adhesive that it comes with, like a 3M permanent adhesive. If you really want to make sure it doesn't come off, you're gonna want to use the included screws to screw it into the frame, or into the frame of the vehicle. But in my case, I use the adhesive, and so far the past few weeks it has been perfectly fine. If I need to, I could just get another adhesive if it comes off, or I would finally screw it in place. Just make sure that it's as centered and level as you want it to be before you tighten it into its permanent position. Now you bust out the tape once more and make sure the wiring is nice and snug underneath the frunk, connected to whatever wires you need to make sure that the camera wire isn't rolling around while you're driving, and make sure the camera plug connected to the longer wire is also taped up nice and tight so that it doesn't come off. After all of that, you're going to want to reinstall the frunk in the exact opposite way. First, putting it down, connecting the emergency frunk opener button, which will not light up immediately. Your car would need to restart, so don't panic if it doesn't light up anymore. Back on the passenger side, you're going to want to properly secure all of the wires again. Make sure that they stay inside their locations. You'll see here on the pillar underneath the rubber is where I actually ran the the camera cord through and then straight down in. The rubber portion is very forgiving and closes just fine without pinching the cord itself. After everything is nice and snug, you're going to want to put the pillar pieces back, starting from the bottom and working your way up, making sure to remember to put those rubber fasteners back in as well. This part did take a little bit of effort because of the rubber lining, which I had to pull back in several places to make sure that the plastic piece was snug back into its location. After this, everything just pops right back up and then you should be good to go. I really hope you found this install helpful. Please like and subscribe, really helps the channel out. Don't forget to use the code DONNY, D-O-N-N-Y, 23% off any parts from Hansshow Auto website. This includes all the products on there, such as the new do-it-yourself wraps for the Cybertruck, automatic front opener, swivel kits, which is my personal favorite, and so on. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.